I have been typecasted to the point where it's almost impossible for people to see me doing something else. You're no longer allowed to act because you did that one so well that we can't see you as something else.
Did they have some issue back in the day? And does he need a career revamp?
Actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry sued for $260 million.
Alfonso Ribeiro has finally shared his perspective on his experiences with Tyler Perry, and it appears he wasn't the only one with something to say.
He showed up to my apartment and offered me $100 grand to take my clothes off. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see.
For over 15 years, fans have wondered why Alfonso never worked with Tyler Perry. He had the recognition, the skill, and was available. Yet, there were no guest roles, no appearances, no collaborations. Now, as fresh allegations against Perry come to light, Alfonso's long silence is beginning to make more sense.
Actor and filmmaker Tyler Perry sued for $260 million over allegations. The complaint filed in Los Angeles accuses Perry of creating a, quote, coercive, exploitative dynamic with actor Derek Dixon.
Although Alfonso never openly accused Perry, revisiting his past remarks alongside recent comments from other actors suggests a deeper story. Silence doesn't always mean nothing happened. Sometimes it means you weren't allowed to speak. So, what exactly did Alfonso say? Before the memes, before the endless reruns, and long before today's controversy, Alfonso Ribeiro was a well-known figure. His role as Carlton Banks on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air made him one of TV's most memorable characters. He wasn't just part of the background, he was the comedic backbone of the show, perfectly complementing Will Smith's energy with his precise timing and the physical humor that made the Carlton dance a lasting pop culture icon.
It's not unusual to be loved.
But when the show wrapped in 1996, Alfonso's career momentum came to a halt. Hollywood no longer saw him as anyone other than Carlton. Job offers declined. Directors and producers couldn't look past his most famous role. They only viewed him as the lighthearted, preppy character, not as a serious performer or a leading man. The typecasting was limiting, and Alfonso, still in his 20s, was left trying to rebuild his career from scratch after his biggest success.
Problem for me has always been that in terms of acting, most of the world can't get past Carlton.
To make matters
things
worse,
even tougher, this slowdown happened in the early 2000s, a time when Hollywood was shifting, though not always in a positive direction. Big studios were searching for fresh faces and focusing on quick appeal instead of veteran talent. Meanwhile, the growing conversation about influential gatekeepers controlling access to roles and opportunities in the industry was becoming more difficult to dismiss. This is where Tyler Perry comes into the story. Based on accounts from people familiar with Alfonso's career path, sometime in the mid to late 2000s, he tried to reconnect with the rising Black entertainment community, particularly with Tyler Perry Studios. At that time, Perry's career was rapidly progressing. He had built a strong fan base, established his own studio in Atlanta, and gained significant creative control within Black television. For Alfonso, overlooked and seeking a fresh start, Perry's expanding influence appeared to offer an opportunity, but that collaboration never materialized. For years, many didn't fully understand why. Alfonso never directly mentioned Tyler Perry by name, but for those who were paying close attention, especially after Christian Keys shared leaked text messages that hinted at questionable casting practices, the situation became harder to ignore. By then, Alfonso had fewer reasons to remain silent, particularly as more individuals began speaking out about pressure and exclusion in the industry. Looking back, Alfonso's earlier, ambiguous comments now seem like subtle warnings about power and influence behind the scenes. So, what really happened between Alfonso and Tyler Perry? This time, Alfonso is choosing to speak. By the late 2000s, Tyler Perry was no longer just a filmmaker, he had become a dominant figure. His movies consistently performed well at the box office, his television shows were leading on bet, and he owned a state-of-the-art studio built on land with historical significance. Perry was often viewed as a key figure for Black actors who struggled to find opportunities in traditional Hollywood spaces. However, with that level of influence came quiet concerns and unanswered questions. During this period, Alfonso Ribeiro, once a primetime television star, was reportedly trying to enter Perry's expanding professional circle. On the surface, this seemed like a logical partnership. Alfonso was looking to revive his career, and Perry had built a reputation for providing new chances to actors. Yet, some industry insiders claimed that Perry's casting choices were not always solely based on merit. In 2021, actor Christian Keyes publicly stated that he had been offered roles in exchange for inappropriate favors.
That he showed up to my apartment and offered me $100 grand to take my clothes off. He said, I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see you.
Around this time, Alfonso's behavior on social media began to noticeably change. His posts became more pointed and carried a cryptic tone. In one post, which has since been deleted, he wrote, "Sometimes the audition is just a setup. Be careful. Who's really watching?" In another, he stated, "I didn't come this far to sell my dignity." He never mentioned anyone by name, but after Christian Keyes shared his experience, many started to wonder if Alfonso had faced similar situations and had simply chosen to distance himself. Supporters of Tyler Perry argue that his success has made him an easy target, suggesting that some actors disappointed by rejection might be looking for someone to blame. However, others have pointed to a troubling pattern. Multiple young, attractive male actors have come forward with similar stories claiming they were pressured or later sidelined after declining Perry's reported offers.
These events occurred while Mr. Dixon was employed as a series regular on the Tyler Perry show, The Oval, while Mr. Perry held direct control over his employment, compensation, and creative opportunity.
If even a part of this environment existed within Perry's studio, it would significantly change the entire narrative. For someone like Alfonso Ribeiro, who carefully built a clean, family-focused image, the idea of compromising his values for a role likely wasn't an option. This could explain why he never appeared in a Tyler Perry project, why there were no guest spots, and why a well-known actor from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air quietly faded from major black television platforms. While lesser-known actors gain visibility, sometimes not getting the role is the clearest sign that you passed a different kind of test, one that had little to do with acting. As more details emerge from the ongoing lawsuit, it appears possible that Alfonso understood the situation long before it became public. On June 14, 2025, actor Derek Dixon filed a significant lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court, accusing Tyler Perry of multiple incidents of misconduct. The suit is seeking $260 million in damages and outlines a concerning pattern of alleged behavior that reportedly took place from 2019 to 2021, with effects that extended into 2024 in an industry already disrupted by widely publicized cases involving individuals like Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. This case holds particular importance as it involves one of the most influential and highly regarded black figures in entertainment. According to the lawsuit, Perry and Dixon first met at an event in 2019. At that time, Dixon was new to the industry and had limited acting experience. The court documents claim that Perry personally approached Dixon, requested his phone number, and expressed an interest in supporting his acting career. It is reported that Perry selected Dixon directly from the crowd. The lawsuit states that Perry asked for Dixon's contact information, indicating that he saw potential in him. Soon after, Dixon says Perry cast him in a series called Ruthless. It was during or shortly after this project that their professional relationship allegedly began to shift. According to Dixon, Perry initiated what he describes as an unbalanced relationship presented under the appearance of professional guidance. Dixon further claims that after Ruthless ended, Perry invited him to his private home in Atlanta. That evening, according to court filings, Dixon became intoxicated and asked to stay in a guest room. What allegedly happened next is described in detail in the complaint. Mr. Perry followed Mr. Dixon into the guest room, the lawsuit states, and began touching his thighs. Dixon says he rejected these advances, but Perry's interest reportedly continued. Later, Dixon alleges that while he was asleep, Perry entered the bed and attempted further contact. Dixon says he tried to distance himself, but was then offered a role on Perry's show, The Oval. He claims this was the first time Perry crossed a physical boundary, and it shaped the direction of what followed. By the time Dixon was cast as Dale, On the Oval, Perry's popular bet drama, the alleged behavior had intensified. The lawsuit claims that Perry began sending inappropriate text messages and making suggestive phone calls. Dixon says these messages included personal questions about his preferences and fantasies. Screenshots of these messages, which have been widely shared across social media and reported by major outlets such as Reuters, the Associated Press, and TMZ, have only increased public attention surrounding this serious case. It's essential to note that text messages can sometimes be edited, fabricated, or misrepresented when taken out of context. According to Reuters, some of these messages are part of the official court records. One reportedly read, "What's it going to take for you to have guiltless?" A message that, if confirmed authentic, would directly support Dixon's claims of coercion. The Associated Press also mentioned messages in which Perry allegedly told Dixon, "No straight man would be going on walks with you or cooking dinner for you unless they wanted to F you. I would F you." Another message reportedly read, "I would hope that you would let someone hold you and make love to you. You are missing the best years of your life, my friend." TMZ shared additional screenshots that circulated widely on X, including one that said, "I feel so good, but I don't like being horny. I feel sorry for the first person that flirts with me." These messages, though not independently verified, appear to suggest growing inappropriate interest and increasingly blurred professional boundaries. They seem to align with Dixon's claims in the lawsuit, describing a shift from mentorship to manipulation, from providing opportunities to applying pressure. Public reaction on social media has been mixed. Some people view the texts as strong, supporting evidence, while others question whether they are authentic, referring back to the court filings. In March 2020, Perry allegedly choked Dixon during a private dispute.
This is what he says that Perry told him. Dixon said that Perry told him, quote, that he liked being choked. That was after Dixon's character was choked by a cast member in a scene on the Oval. Perry also allegedly said, "Why do you twist your hips when you walk? How can I get a day of Dixon?"
Later that year, another reported incident occurred on the set of the Oval, where Perry is accused of entering a trailer and inappropriately touching Dixon. The most serious allegation is connected to an incident in June 2021. Dixon says he was, again, invited to Perry's Atlanta home, and while staying in the guest house wearing only his underwear, Perry came to his room to say goodnight. According to Dixon, Perry initiated a hug, pulled down Dixon's underwear, touched him inappropriately, and told him to just relax. Dixon claims he managed to defuse the situation by changing the subject, but by then, he says he felt trapped. The lawsuit further alleges that Perry made it clear there would be consequences for rejecting his advances. According to the complaint, Perry explicitly said, "If you ignore me, your character dies." The lawsuit also claims Perry used promises of future projects to maintain influence. Specifically, Dixon says Perry offered to help produce Losing It, a TV series Dixon had written. Perry allegedly showed interest in funding the pilot, but only if Dixon remained loyal. Dixon now believes this offer was never genuine but was used as a way to maintain control. According to the lawsuit, Mr. Perry was looking for something his wealth and status could not secure: a personal connection with someone who would not speak out. Dixon eventually filed a formal complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in June 2024. He later stated that he was diagnosed with PTSD as a result of Perry's actions and ultimately decided to leave the Oval, explaining that the emotional and psychological toll had become overwhelming. The complaint does not focus solely on Perry as an individual. Dixon also named Tyler Perry Studios and TPS Production Services as co-defendants, accusing them of negligent hiring, supervision, and retention. However, Perry is the only one specifically accused of both physical and verbal misconduct. One of the most direct comparisons in the complaint places Perry alongside other high-profile figures in the entertainment industry who have faced similar allegations, including Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, Sean Diddy Combs, Kevin Spacey, Roger Ailes, and others. The complaint claims Mr. Perry's success has led him to believe that money and influence can get him whatever he wants. Tyler Perry's legal team has strongly denied the allegations. His attorney, Matthew Boyd, issued a public statement saying, "This is an individual who got close to Tyler Perry for what now appears to be nothing more than setting up a scam. But Tyler will not be extorted, and we are confident these fabricated claims will fail." However, the case is now a public matter. Unless it is dismissed or resolved privately, Perry may have to defend himself in court against the most serious allegations he has faced in his career. Meanwhile, it has been over 10 years since Alfonso Ribeiro stepped away from scripted television. For a long time, fans believed this was his decision, that he preferred hosting, wanted to focus on his family, or simply chose to avoid being typecast again. But behind the polished appearances and game show hosting, something else may have been taking place. In Hollywood, silence is not always a sign of peace. Sometimes it's a carefully measured decision. Alfonso Ribeiro is no stranger to the complexities of fame. After The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he became closely associated with a character adored by millions but not taken seriously by many within the industry. Playing Carlton brought him financial success, but it also made him nearly invisible when it came to more serious acting opportunities. So, when he attempted to return to scripted television in the 2000s, he quickly realized that talent alone wouldn't be enough. A close associate later suggested that. Alfonso became aware of what was happening behind the scenes at certain studios and chose to step away without making it public. There were no public confrontations or scandals, just quiet distance. But the reason behind that silence is important. The reality is Alfonso probably stayed silent because he believed speaking out wouldn't change anything, or worse, it could harm his career. Tyler Perry was not just another figure in the industry. By the 2010s, Perry was widely viewed as untouchable, a billionaire backed by Oprah, Bet, and major networks. Challenging him could have ended any chance Alfonso had of reviving his career, especially as someone already struggling to return to the spotlight. In truth, Black actors in Hollywood have often faced limited freedom to speak openly, particularly when those concerns involve powerful Black industry leaders. The fear of being labeled difficult, resentful, or envious is very real. Even more concerning is the fear of being completely excluded from opportunities. This is likely why Alfonso chose subtle ways to respond: cryptic tweets, indirect posts, quietly unfollowing, and simply declining to work together. The signs were there, though many people did not notice them. Now, with Christian Keys releasing private messages and Derek Dixon filing a $260 million lawsuit accusing Tyler Perry of harassment and professional coercion, Alfonso's silence appears in a different light. It no longer seems like mere distance. It looks like thoughtful caution, possibly a way to protect himself.
Dixon is suing Tyler Perry, the individual, as well as his production studio. That studio is called TPS Production Services, LLC. That stands for Tyler Perry Studios in Action, LLC. He is looking for $260 million.
In this new perspective, Alfonso's decision not to collaborate with Perry seems less like a missed professional opportunity and more like a quiet act of resistance. He may not have shared specific details publicly, but after 15 years, his choice to remain distant speaks volumes. It prompts an important question: how many other actors walked away, and why did they never feel comfortable enough to say why? When actors like Alfonso Ribeiro speak indirectly, the industry tends to listen quietly. But when actors like Christian Keys speak openly, the surface begins to crack. That's exactly what happened in 2021 when Keys publicly addressed the casting couch culture connected to some of Tyler Perry's projects. This time, he didn't hold back.
He showed up to my apartment and offered me 100 grand to take my clothes off. He said, "I don't even need to touch you. I just want to see you."
Keys' admission set off a ripple effect. His leaked messages and subtle comments about coercion closely aligned with the concerns Alfonso had quietly alluded to over the years. Suddenly, those cryptic posts about being excluded, overlooked, or penalized for not going along with certain expectations seemed to carry a much deeper and more concerning message. Alfonso and Christian are very different actors, but their career paths overlapped. Both were working to rebuild their careers in the mid-2000s. Both were Black men looking for opportunities in a studio that presented itself as supportive. And both, in their own ways, chose to step away quietly. Even Derek Dixon's widely covered lawsuit, which has already been discussed in detail, adds another layer to this developing story. Taken together, these accounts reveal a pattern: young Black male actors seeking opportunities but encountering boundaries they were not willing to cross. This is not just about one message or a single event. It reflects a much broader and persistent pressure: the casual remarks that carried real weight, the so-called suggestions that felt more like expectations, and the quiet demands that were never openly discussed. These were not simple misunderstandings. They were power imbalances, often framed as opportunities. For actors like Alfonso Ribeiro, what may stand out most is not what happened, but what didn't. There was no role in a Tyler Perry production, no special appearance, not even a brief cameo in a system that claimed to champion black talent. Looking back, that absence speaks volumes when you compare Alfonso's quiet decision to step away with Keys' direct rejection and the serious allegations now coming forward through lawsuits. A clearer image begins to form, one that makes Alfonso's long silence appear not only understandable but completely justified. Perhaps this silence was both intentional and carefully planned, and maybe that's why Alfonso is now beginning to speak, not through public statements or major exposés, but by allowing people to connect the signs he's been quietly sharing for more than a decade. What once seemed like bitterness now appears to be boundary setting. What used to seem like distance now looks like self-protection. And what many saw as silence now starts to resemble survival. Alfonso Ribeiro didn't offer a viral headline. He didn't release a detailed interview or publicly call anyone out. But maybe he didn't need to. In an industry where silence is often mistaken for weakness, his quiet decision to step back may have been the strongest statement of all. While many chase fame and visibility, Alfonso chose to walk away from something most actors dream of, likely because of what he experienced behind the scenes. He was never known for being dramatic or outspoken, but the decisions he made, the roles he turned down, and the subtle messages he did share all tell a story. A story about setting boundaries. A story about valuing self-respect over career growth. Now, as more lawsuits come to light and actors who once stayed silent begin to speak up, Alfonso's choices no longer appear to be missed opportunities. Instead, they seem like early signs we failed to notice, because when the truth begins to emerge, it's often those who quietly stepped away that we should have been paying attention to from the start. Anyway, that's it for this video. Take care. Bye.